And welcome back to our model kit design and visual development section. This is a really exciting phase of the learning process because now we're going from making some walls and floors, doors, and some furniture. We have our model kit still from our little Cogbot character, like super simple pieces that turn into, I think, a pretty fun little design, like little Cogbot. So I'm calling him the Cogbot. And now we're doing the exterior. So we're doing the exterior walls, some different thicknesses, some monumental or massive size ones, some arches, which then turn into a series of arches called arcades, columns with the base, shaft, and capital. We're organizing and grouping our scene very carefully so that everything's named properly and it's easy to select. And the up arrow will grab the group. So if you click on a piece that's in a larger part of a group, hit the up arrow, it's going to grab everything in that group. So very important shortcut key to remind everybody. We're also going to do domes and towers and a modular kit for the roof. And that is going to be a lot of fun. I brought in the Cogbot and just threw some animations on him briefly in the Stackobot and project and give you a little example of the city. So just bringing in all the bots. Haven't done any color changes or anything yet, but here's the city. Working with modular design. This is the Telharmonium or sound-based kind of steampunky cyberpunk modular builder kit. Based on some designs I did many, many years ago. So we'll look at that as well. And, to get there, you'll want to follow the recipe. So really just getting your assets together, doing the simplest pieces possible, joining them together, and then doing a very simple tileable texture material, just material ID wise on there, and then maybe a couple particles and effects, something like that. So something to keep you grounded and remind you of. It's another older project, Telharmonium, that we did many years ago, the Stanford group, and the Pipe Man got audio-based robot. Looks kind of like a Bionicle now in hindsight. Going to be doing some giant mechas, mech suits, biomech suits, and kaiju with the pianist, and having sound and music being generated procedurally with one of my good friend and research partner, Dr. Rob Hamilton. That should be fun. Still focusing on the doodling and sketching phase and how much you can go back and forth from 2D to 3D and then build out an entire modular kit for our avatar for Quartet and some of the musical based stuff. The Quartet is our VR musical instruments from over a decade of research using Unreal Engine. So with the new Oculus kit sets, and maybe finally get to do some ZBrush and some Substance Painter and do some really beautiful texture maps and all this stuff. So far I've just been designing for so long and building these huge model kit parts. I haven't been able to sit down and actually finish the visual quality that I would like, at least. So here's the Telharmonium kit that we just saw. And so taking this in, most of my original training was in 3D Studio Max for level design, so really comfortable with that application. For doing spline modeling for buildings, it's really fun, very cool. They don't quite do it that way yet in Maya. I wish they did, but so I'll be bringing this over so you get to see an evolution of that. And the Metropolis kit, which is based off of one of the original kind of, if you want to call it cyberpunk or dystopian future movies, the old silent film Metropolis. So we're going to take a look at, I love the building, the cog and pipes, the working class being slaved out by the ruling capitalist class or money having class. And one of the first really wicked android suits that I can think of ever in cinema. And we'll look at some different visual styles to guide this along. So we'll look at some brutalism, and look at the models they did there for Metropolis is really kick-ass. And yeah, so we'll look at some futurism and some sci-fi slants that we can add to this, and how to build out. I have this blank at the moment, a model kit. This is the original model kit. So this is the Metropolis kit that I had in Unreal Engine 3 many, many years ago over at Art Institute, San Francisco, California. And this is a problem with this model kit is it's so old that it's all in Unreal units. So in the old days, Unreal Engine 2 that I started with 20 years ago, and Unreal Engine 3 used Unreal units, or UUs. And so 16 units was a foot, which then, I was over into feet and inches and then into metric system. So this is what the kit looks like. So if you want to have different walled pieces with different sized windows, if you want to have a repeatable pattern, if you want the windows to go from, top to bottom, oops. If you want to have a double door or double window or single, if you want to have a bit of profiling on there, just keep it simple to begin with. Don't do anything too fancy. Just want to block in your idea, your level, and then go back to 2D again and flesh out your idea and design some more, and then go back and do replace. So this is just, you can see it's old funky render. This is back in Unreal Engine 3 UDK. And, but using the procedural modeling research that we had done at Stanford, I really understood how to kit something out and how the program, the algorithms would combine these. So I think this is really going to be the future of AI building, is you're going to feed it pieces and you're going to design it on the fly, and it's going to put things together based on the example models you feed it. And so this particular model kit here that I'm really excited to finish and use as an example to hand out for you guys is based off of a tower design I built many years ago, that from the Telharmonium, which then became the Carillon, which is the big bell tower we have over at Stanford, and most universities have a Carillon. And what pieces I need to build it. So for each floor, you have like the story, you have the floor piece, a wall piece, and then a repeatable pattern. You have the ground floor piece down here, little entry hall, and then you have your top cap piece, which would typically have your soffit underneath the cornice, which this one's actually lacking. But the pipes and the cogs, like it's actually it took me a long time to figure this stuff out back in the day, but now that I know so much more about how to make this stuff, just building a couple pieces and building out your model kit, that's really what I'm going to show you guys how to do. So let's get straight to it. So should I save everything? I have everything opened in Maya, and by the time we're done with this, also we're going to finally get over into how to organize and use the model browser and the library browser to make your own modular library. So whatever I want to do with these pieces, you just end up modifying them, because the dimensions aren't going to change much, right? Like a door and a wall, if you're dealing with a bipedal human dimensions, this guy's a little over 5 feet tall, so he's like a little on the shorter side, but between 5 and 6 foot tall human, your archways and doors and wall units, like your furniture is not going to change much in dimension. You could change it in the style, but you could do that after. Build your first model kit first, get your simplest pieces done, get them measured correctly, get them named properly, make sure the pivot is in the right location, make sure they snap to the grid correctly, and then you're able to build out that Metropolis piece very, very quickly, and in a day, even once your model kit's done. And that's why people go to the marketplace. They're enamored with the marketplace. It's like, well, everyone's selling their stuff on the marketplace, so why don't you sell your stuff on the marketplace? And after a while, people are going to get tired of seeing the same stuff, the same style. Like if you want to create your own visual style to go along with your own game style, you need to make your own stuff. And there's always going to be jobs for artists, and you can't really, artists and musicians, you can't pay as much less. As everyone's always saying, oh, they're going to replace the artists with this new algorithms and this new AI tech. It's like, yeah, right. Good luck with that. It'd be interesting to see, though, how it evolves, because I love using these new tools. So let's get to it, and let's see how to use these effectively. Okay, so for the model kits, we have the arch, arcade, column, the base shaft, capital. The series is the colonnade. The series of arches is the arcade. We have a variety of ceilings. I just put vaulted ceilings, and the extended set from the doorway is more of like a gateway. You have double doors. You have exterior door, exterior to interior, and then you have just interior doors. Tons of different types of floors. Too many to list there. The roofs, different common type roofs, the dome roof, the hooded roof, a gable on the edges. I should put soffit in there as well. Different stairs or ways to get up and down between levels, which include also ramps, ladders, and elevators, towers. You've already done walls and windows. So the floors, walls, doors, windows, ceiling, and furniture is done. So we're going to go into the rest of this and look at some of the exterior pieces. So for this particular part of the exercise, I have done the measurements for you, and I've put the measurements in the grouping over here. So if I go over to the exterior group, if you hit shift and click, that will pull everything up here. So the columns, I do a dot 2 for 0.2 meters, which would be 20 centimeters, right? So the walls per floor, per story, we're going to stick to 3 meters or 300 centimeters. 4 meters for the large exterior walls. That would be also could be the first floor in like a large office building, be extra high ceilings. And then most of your walls are going to be 10 centimeters, although thicker exterior walls can be 20 centimeters. And then when you do the massive, like you're doing a castle wall or something, that's a huge, thick stone structure, or really thick concrete wall or whatnot, you can get 50 to 100 centimeters or even more. But I'm just giving you some like simple numbers to follow. And then for the columns, for instance, on a 4-meter column that would match the height of a larger floor exterior, the base and the capital, I have them at 20 centimeters each, with the shaft being 360 of that 400 total. So the total of the base, shaft, and capital together of 400. That's how the ratios have put out for there. And I have a bunch more information for you on that. But to get them built, it's really straightforward. You just kind of follow the recipe here. So you go to your columns and see if if you have interactive creation on, you can still pull up the cylinder here and you can just punch in the numbers directly. So for, I think I was doing the arches a moment ago, but for the columns, so check over here. Right, so we have columns, and I have those at 4 meters by 50 for the large one. Or excuse me, that's not the large one. It's for the single floor one. This is the super large one right here. This is the 8-meter tall, which should be 2 floors tall. And if you look at that in the viewport outline, just to hover your key over and go F, F, and F. So and you can roll back a little bit to see how that's coming. And yeah, I meant to put the radius on there, but I believe this one is at a 50 centimeter radius, and then these are just 10 more on the base and the capital. Now this is just a placeholder, right? So you're just trying to bang these out so you can assemble your building or your city or town or village, whatever you're making. But that's the measurement that you'd want to do for the columns. So let's go ahead and arrange this a little bit more. So I'm going to grab all the columns here and then hit the up arrow, as well as, let's grab all these columns here. Yeah. So if I grab all of the columns that are here so far, and then make a new layer and name this layer columns. And then maybe put the word layer afterwards, hit save. Let's see if that's gonna just about everything there. And it looks like I accidentally put the text on there, so I'll just take the text and remove that from that layer, and maybe take it out of the exterior group and just kind of leave it out on its own, kind of like with the human reference and the text notes. The text is up here. You can go create, and there's a type tool right here, so you can create type, and then once you have that, you can go to its attributes, and it has its own little interface here, which is pretty cool, that you can type in your notes for yourself in the scene. So similar to the Unreal Engine, and almost all the 3D tools have a typography built in there. So the typical wall piece, if I were to go to the exterior group here and look at the variety of wall pieces here, See, this is one's 4 by 8 by dot 2, so that's 8 meters wide. So I have my grid options here set to it's down to 5. So let's bring that back to 10 where it was. So it was 1,110. So very straightforward. 10, in the metric system, going to 10, 100, and 1,000. I went in and cranked it up to 4,000, so that way I have more room because I'm building a town at this point, building a large scale building. One important thing to note before you get going on this, along with your grid options, is that, again, if you click on an object and hit the up arrow, that's going to grab the group. So that way you can group together parts that go together, like the base, shaft, and the capital, are certainly part of one single unit for the most use case. You could have instances where you want to just use the base for something, or just use the capital for something. So I do keep this separate so you can assemble them and do as you will with them. Maybe swap out different pieces and maybe keep one piece the same. Super useful to be able to do that. The other thing is you want to go to the perspective camera and go to its attributes. Whoops. And after you click on the perspective camera, you'll want to go to its clipping plane. So let's find that real quick. Okay, so inside the perspective camera's camera attributes, if I go back to where it was a default, it has this really super annoying default that Maya's always had. I guess it's to save people with really crappy computers, but I've always thought it was just kind of silly. But when you start zooming out, in and out too far, you'll get a clipping plane that's really not very functional. So where's the default? I think it's right about there, but okay, that's not too bad. That must be one. I forget what the default is now, but there we go. So right about here, it's clipping already. And then the near clip plane is also a problem because so I go to the far clip plane and I add a couple zeros in there, and that lets me zoom out just fine. But the other problem is you have the near clip plane, which is even more annoying in some ways, and that is you're getting this really harsh, almost like Moray-Z fighting flicker as soon as you get to a larger scale. And for some reason, I never knew this before, but if you actually increase the near clip plane to about a value of 3 or 4, it actually gets rid of that annoying clipping artifact. So I just accepted it as a bug in Maya all these years and just discovered that recently. So yeah, go to your perspective camera that's in your outliner, go to the perspective camera shape 1 camera attributes, and change the near clip plane from, I think it's 0.1 to 4 or 3 or 4. I think some tutorial or resource said make it 3, but I don't see any more flickering now when I'm working with. If you want to do a great big building or tower, now you can. And then the far clip plane, I just add a couple zeros in there, and now I can zoom all the way out. Now I can build my city without having horrible artifacts and flickering and objects appearing and disappearing. So that was really great to find out today. So the grid snap, I leave that turned on for almost the entire time, and snapping again when you want to move things diagonally. If you move it and hold the J key down before you start moving, I think, yeah, there it goes. You'll see that's gonna let you rotate with the even degree increments without having to go in and constantly change your increments. So if you did want to do that, you can go in here to I'm in the rotate tool, and here's the pivot, here's the defaults, here's the rotate center, here's the transform constraints right here, here's a snap. So sometimes you want to put an absolute snap, and there's 15 degrees, and you could change that. I usually do 1.25 divides into 360, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but I'll just kind of leave that off for now. So just leave that off, and then as I rotate stuff, I just hold down J before I start turning, and it snaps perfectly well. So hold down J, there we go. So yeah, you're mostly doing 90 degree and 45 degree rotations at the most when you're dealing with architecture. Everything else kind of gets wacky pretty fast. So pretty easy to do. So I go to my 4 viewport mode here, and I know these big lines here are every 100. So if I need to make my exterior wall, I'm going to go to the cube tool and come over here, And if I want to do a 400, there we go. And then make sure it's about 10 right there or 20 here. And if you're off, you can always just fix it very quickly and then let go and then click and drag. And you see from the side view or the front view down below, I go up to the fourth one. So that is a typical, for that piece right there, that's going to be a, oh, looks like I went 500 on accident, 400 by 400 piece. So let's try that one more time. So I'll just click that again and click and drag across to 4 and then up, and then using the height here. If I go off, I do need to have enough space to go up. It will stop you here once you hit the top of your monitor. But there we go. So that is now a 400 by 400 cube. And then same thing with the interior architecture. We're going to hold down D and we're going to snap that to the inside corner, and that becomes my exterior wall piece. And I'm naming them as I go. So for this one, I'll go EXT underscore WALL underscore, and then you do the width and then the height and then the depth is last. So the width on this is going to be 4 meters by 4 meters high by, and I'll go do a dot 2 or 0.2 meters, which is 20 centimeters. And that should be the measurement I have here. So if I go look at the polycube, it is, oh, I did 5 again. Jeez, that's really annoying. Again, there we go. And I just got to change the snap to go in there again, then a D and then V. There we go. And then get it back on the grid and then bring it in there. And then same thing, freeze, delete history. It's named, cool. Oh, do a underscore 01. So you might do a bunch of these. You might do a turn, an L turn. You might have some that have holes punched out for them. You might have some of them that are, there's a variety of things you might do with those. So let me just slide that out of the way. To do a column with a base shaft and a capital, also incredibly super simple. So we just kind of pull out there, go up 1, and then let's see, 1, 2. I think I did 20, or no, just, yeah, we'll do 10. There we go. And then move the snap down to the bottom again. Freeze, delete, drag it out of the way. And then, actually, before I do that, let me shift drag. We'll call this one column underscore base underscore 01. And we could go column, and then we could do a times 4. So we know it's 4 high. And if we wanted to, we could do the diameter too. I think the, let's see, what did I do for this one? I think I just did 5. Yes, it's 1, 2.5, something like that. So we'll just do column dot 5 by 4 by, and then it doesn't have a depth because it's radial, and then base. And I usually want to put the numbers after the naming convention. So I do it's a column, it's a base part of the column, there's the measurements, and then it's an underscore 01. So use whatever you want. I know this seems a little neurotic, but you definitely want to be this thorough about it. So I'll do another one here and move the cap all the way. There's the base out of the way. So this one here, I'm going to use the exact same piece. I'll just call this one cap, CAP. There we go. And then we could go to the side view here and bring it up that. Bring this one over here. There we go. So they're each, if they're 20 units, that means if I did a shaft in between them, they should be pretty close. Did I do dot 2? Should be dot 1 maybe. So they're 10 centimeters. So let's give it a shot and see what happens here. So we'll go in here to the column or to the cylinder, and I'll drag out. This time I want to be in one smaller, and then pull upward. There we go towards the top. There we go. And I think that is a little bit too tall. And we can go into the X-ray. Yeah, there's a half a unit there. And sometimes you need to drop this down to 50, right? In order to get enough units to make this work right. There we go. So we can kind of see where this is at. So we'll go back into the cylinder. And yeah, since these are 20 instead of 10, we'll do 360 instead of 380. There we go. And voila. So 360 centimeters shaft. And then I'll bring the pivot point down to the bottom, bring it on the bottom for a moment, and then freeze it, delete its history, and then bring it back up again. And so the next step for this would be to take this wall, take the base, the shaft, and the capital, and group them. So Control G group, and we'll call this column. And I usually do the groups in caps. So we'll go column underscore 4, and you can put an M for meters on there if you want, whatever works for you, and then underscore 01, and then underscore GRP for group. So we know that's a group, and we go down here and we'll take a look again. So that is the 5 by 4. So we can just copy that, go up here to the shaft, paste. So we know that this one is going to have a base of 4, or dot 4, and then it's going to be dot 360 meters or 360 centimeters high. So, and I had my caps lock on, so let me get rid of that. But there we go. So now if I have this done here, you can very easily take this group and we'll bring it over here. And if you wanted to do like a little foyer in front, we can just do a shift drag, and it does do the whole group, including all the pieces that are inside of it. So I'm just holding down shift, shift, there we go, and shift, and if we go up arrow on that, it's going to go up to the group controller. So if I want to create a little opening here, just go up arrow, hold down shift, and drag it over. And we'll do a little like very simple pillar entryway, Egyptian, Greek, Roman, whatever you want to call Sumerian, Babylonian. So for these ones, the up arrow just, man, I really forgot that one previously, and when I remembered to get off my butt and look it up, I was like, oh, geez, that's makes life way easier. So I'm just kind of centering these things up. So I'm leaving like an entryway to build a doorway into this building. So click one time with one piece in the group, up arrow grabs the group, and there we go. So there's my little entryway. So we'll go over here, and we have a columns layer right here. So I can add these on there. So maybe I'll grab all 3 of these and up arrow, and we'll do a new layer, and we'll call this a colonnade. I always misspell colonnade because I want to spell like lemonade or Kool-Aid. Colonnade. I believe that's right. Layer. Maybe give it a color. Save. Okay, there we go. And we can hide that. All right. So the next piece you want to build in here would be, let's see, we got the wall. We got the column with the base, shaft, and capital. Let's check our asset list to see which one we want to do next. You want to do arch? Let's do arch. Do arch, and then we'll do a roof, and as well as a tower and the dome. The dome is missing on here before I made a boo-boo. Somehow the word dome got removed, but dome should be there after door, or actually dome's before door, but okay. Yeah. Alphabetical order, right? Trying to keep these squared away. So, okay, so let's do the arch or arcade next. So if we wanted to do an arcade or a series of arches on top of the column that went across the middle here somehow. We could do that as well. So there's a few different ways you could do it, like most everything else in Maya. There's 100 ways you could do this, but I would just build it first with a cylinder. So so a cylinder. So I would go in here and let's say you want to go across 1, 2, 3. So you want to do just 2 across, like something like that. We could go in here and do that. So I start off in the middle here and just drag out so that it hits right there, and then let go and then push up. And if I had it in a better one, we could check the attributes on that, and you could just manually enter this, of course. 16 is the magic number for radial, so it's all 4-sided, divisible by 2, goes down from 8 to 4 to 2, and powers of 2, which is really nice. And then for the thickness on this, it's going to really matter what you're using it for. If we did a regular thickness or the height, since we're doing this from the side view, you could have it be your exterior wall thickness at 20. So if we take a look at that and take a look at that over here, we can see how that would look on top of those particular columns. So maybe for this one in particular, let's crank that up to 40, which is a pretty big difference. There we go. And that might fit on top of there even better at, say, something like 60. So use your own best judgment for your arches, whatever you need them for sure. Go in here and delete all the bottom faces of that one. And actually, before I do that, we'll go to the edge tool and double click here. We'll get both sides while we're at it. Double click, and then we're going to scale them out to whatever we need, so that way this touches the bottom of this. So it needs to go at least to that line right there. So I just scale that out so that touches that, or inside that line right there. And just to show you, make sure I show you what that looks like. So if I were to bring this down, you want them to touch on top of the column right here, right? And you see where the radial is. So we'll look at that again. So we'll go in here and grab both sides again. I'm just double clicking on the edge loop and then using the scale tool and scaling so that I know it's going to be resting on top of the capital if I punch that out. So that should work. So now we'll go grab all the bottom faces right here, delete, grab all these faces right here, and we'll see if the bridge tool is working for us today. In that manner, it is. Go to object mode. We can isolate it for just a moment, and you'll see there's gaps open. So when you're in object mode, not in component mode, and go to mesh and go fill hole, it will try and close up all the holes that might be open in that. So that's one way to build an arch. And again, depends on your reference, depends on what you're building, but that should work pretty well. Okay, so for the pivot, it's no different than what we've been doing. So we're just gonna hold down D and drag that pivot to the inside corner of the model. And it looks like I need this to be even more. So I'm gonna go D and then V. So I'm gonna snap it to the, oops. I snap it to the vertex, and then I'm going to snap that back to the grid. So whoa, I guess not liking that at all. Oh, thought I had it. There we go. Is that working now? There it goes. Yeah, so the thickness on this is a bit different, right? It's not. It is still in 50 increments. It is still going across there for the right thickness. So it's a bit of an odd number in there, but that's working really well. So we would need to divide that a little bit more in order to get this piece to go halfway. Huh. Oh, whoa. That's weird. I don't know what I did. There we go. Okay, thank you. That's more like it. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So that's halfway. And you might even want to put it at the center pivot. So it depends on how you want to build your model kits. So you do get a lot more freedom how these work. So if I drag that back down to the main floor right over here and bring that to center of the world, then we can freeze that and delete its history, right? And now if I go back to the front viewport here, we can bring that up on top, definitely. And this would be like an open type of arch. So if I hold down shift and drag a duplicate of it, that would be open in case we want some other piece to go on the top of it. And it looks like, yeah, since I had it in the center of the wall, I got to bring it back over. There we go. Now if we want this to be a closed arch, so what we would do for that is I'll isolate this from the front viewport, and we'll go to the vertex tool, and we'll just grab that, and we'll just snap it straight across. That and that. Bring this one up to the corner. Marquee drag, so I'm getting the front and the back vertices right, and bring it up there. Bring that one there, and that one right there. And there you go. And now you have a closed arch. So go back to object mode, and then same thing. Shift drag over. Go back to the front viewport. And bring it in over the other columns right there, and then just shift drag it with the snaps still on, and that should go very nicely. All right, so that's an arch as well as an arcade. Pretty easy peasy so far. The dome would be the next one, the dome and a tower. So the dome, you could do a half dome, but we'll come back and do those in the next video.